I published a port of the OpenGL package several years ago and haven't thought too much about it since then, but I've had a couple of people ask me this year about it, where it came from and how to use it. So I thought I'd put this quick video together to hopefully address a few of the questions that have been asked. The first thing is, where did it come from? This was originally in the Croquet image, which I believe was produced in about 2004 or 2005. And I manually extracted it and ported it over to Squeak and then later over to Cuis. So this OpenGL package is basically, it's a full 1.x OpenGL port, and I believe most of OpenGL 2.x was in it as extensions at the time, because that's how OpenGL progressed. You'd have the major release, and then they'd add a number of extensions, and then they'd do a new release, and a lot of the extensions that people adopted would get incorporated into the new release. So this code originally dates back to about 2005 or so. I did the port in, I think, 2009 originally, and I think I released it for Cuis in 2014 or 2015. But it still does work, and so it's a good starting point to show you how to get OpenGL up and running in a Smalltalk image, and then take it wherever you need to. If you like the immediate mode of the OpenGL 1.x and 2.x, this may be all you need. If you're looking for the more advanced features from 3.x and 4.x, which have been the more common versions to use in the last decade, this should hopefully give you a starting point so you can build out whatever OpenGL support you need. The first thing you'll need, obviously, is a recent image. You'll need to install the FFI package, because this is all FFI based. It's not plugin based, at least not for the FFI system calls. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about there. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and install the package. And that will install the 3D transform package as well. Now, I've also just recently put together this quick sanity check so that you can make sure that everything is functional. And I'm going to save here because I've actually set this up to fail, because this is one of the most common things you're going to run into getting OpenGL up and running. There are two main system components you need to have for things to function, and I've left one of the important ones out. Okay, so the good news is we have the black rectangle here, which is our OpenGL viewport. So that tells us that the first part of OpenGL support is there, which is the Balloon 3D plugin. It's a Squeak VM plugin, and what it does is essentially provides the setup code to create a surface on the screen that you can render to. Then the second part, which is what's failed here, and this is what will most commonly fail for you if you've never used OpenGL in your image before, is it can't find the shared library. Now, for OpenGL, this is a little bit tricky in terms of how the setup works, because it's multi-platform. So you'll see this module OpenGL library name, and that's basically a dummy name, because there isn't one value you can put in here and have it work on the Mac and have it work on Linux and have it work on Windows. So if we look for source with it, we'll see the three main ways. You can forget the OS 9, that's obviously long obsolete. But if you see the OS X, the default name, at least it was several years ago, is OpenGL.framework. The Unix name depends on, I don't remember why I did that, but on my systems several years ago it was libegl.so.1, and then on Windows it is OpenGL32.dll. So depending on what platform you're running on, these values may be different, and there's probably a little bit rot on the Mac side and on the Windows side because I have not run this on those platforms probably for 4 or 5 years. But as you'll see, the Linux side still works fine, so I would expect that you'd be able to get the Windows and Mac sides running without too much effort. Okay, so what we've got to do here is we have to, for Linux, get a library with that name matching in our lib directory for the VM. So let's exit out of here. And just wanted to quickly show you, there's the B3D accelerator plugin, and that is what's necessary for the Surface. So that's there and that's working, which is why we had the black rectangle. What we don't have is the right library name. Now I've already done the symlink. This will be somewhere similar to what I've got here, and it may vary depending on your distro. But what you need is to have that called libegl.so.1. And that should be all we need here. So now, there you go. So you can take a look at this quick little test class I've put together. It doesn't do much, just opens up the surface, clears it, sets a clear color, clears it, draws a triangle with a few colors in the vertices, just to prove that, okay, the Balloon 3D plugin is working and that it's successfully found the OpenGL library and it is able to render. So hopefully that gives you a starting point.